Chris, it's coming to the travel season, and I'm sure that people are already making plans for 2021. First off, let's hit the elephant in the room. What happened? What is the latest that you've heard about what happened with thousands of flights being canceled from Southwest Airlines?
Well, it was a really weird thing because Southwest is saying that it was air traffic and some weather, but a lot of airlines had the same issues, but only Southwest canceled as many flights as it did. So we're still trying to figure out. It feels a lot like an IT problem, but it could have been anything. We just don't know yet. We do know that a lot of people were affected by it.
How come it's been going on now and so many people are affected and we still don't have an answer? What could they possibly be hiding?
What are they hiding? I don't know. I wish that I had some insights into this. But what I can tell you is that when this kind of thing does happen, that people have rights. And an airline typically, we're talking about Southwest maybe not disclosing everything. What they won't say is what your rights are when a flight is canceled. And that is, you do have the right to a full refund. They'll try to rebook you, but you have the right to get all your money back, and they won't tell you that.
It doesn't make any sense for them to tell you that, because if you don't know your rights, then you can't necessarily exercise your rights, and you can't necessarily, and they get to hold on to your money, for lack of a better phrase. As we get closer to the holidays, this is a time when people are starting to look to book for Thanksgiving or for Christmas right now. Are there deals to be had?
Yeah, there are deals to be had. I mean, there are always at this time of year. This is fall, when typically it's shoulder season. So you see a lot of typically very aggressive pricing from airlines and hotels, other travel companies. But what is different about this fall, though, is that we are in what appears to be a recovery. So COVID cases are going down in most of the country. The people's appetite for travel is going up. And so what happens when demand goes up is that prices go up as well. So really, if you see something that looks like a good deal, book it now. Don't wait too long.
How crucial is it with Southwest being in this bind right now, making sure their reputation isn't too tarnished right ahead of the holiday travel? Because there's already been reports saying that they have a vaccine mandate, a deadline right before the holidays, and that could possibly cause a bit of a delay for the holiday season.
Yeah, anything can happen between now and the holidays. I try not to predict because I'm wrong half the time anyway. And I'm supposed to be an expert too. Look, at least people are not rioting at the airport. On other airlines, you've seen that this summer where people there's a civil unrest at the airport. And Southwest, to be fair, has a really good reputation for taking care of its customers. So I think that whatever is going on now with all these cancellations, they are taking care of them. Still, it does help to know what your rights are. So the other thing that I meant to say is that if you're on a stopover and your flight gets canceled, typically, if you look at the contract of carriage, that's the legal agreement between you and the airline. You can find that on your airline's website. They will have a provision in there that they'll take care of you. They'll give you meal vouchers. They'll give you a hotel voucher. So don't forget to ask about that too.
This brings up the question of travel insurance. And there are a lot of people that recommend getting it, but they don't necessarily know what travel insurance covers. Can you run down what your rights are when you have insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a case like this, where you have all these flight cancellations by Southwest, you do have some coverage if you have a travel insurance policy. So things like a trip delay or even your luggage is delayed, you can. The thing about that, though, is that usually it has to be an out-of-pocket expense. So if you are delayed, you get a hotel, you can then submit to your travel insurance company later to get reimbursed. So it's not automatic. You can't just flash a card and say, hey, I've been delayed, and then they cover your entire hotel bill. It doesn't work that way.
And let's talk about luggage. I mean, do you have some, good tips about keeping track of your luggage? I know like Apple came out with the Apple tags and people have put, little square pieces in there. But when you have something like this happen, sometimes there's confusion with your bag.
Yeah, fortunately, we haven't had a lot of complaints about lost luggage. Over the weekend, I got a lot of complaints about flights being canceled, but usually when they're canceled, you get your luggage back and it doesn't get lost somewhere in transit. But what we have seen, though, when luggage does get lost is that it's the Check luggage. So a lot of people will not let it out of their sight. That's always good advice. Packing light is a really good tip too. Most people try to take the kitchen sink with them when they go on vacation. Not a good idea. You're raising your hand there. Not a good idea. So take it with you. Don't let it out of your sight, and you won't get lost.
One thing that we've been hearing a lot of stories about lately are people that maybe they've forgotten the rules because they haven't flown in so long. They're trying to take weapons on board again.
Yeah. That's not the kind of thing you typically forget, that you can't bring a loaded gun. Normally, though, when you hear, you see these press releases that the TSA puts out about, well, we confiscated 30 loaded guns at DFW. It's usually someone who forgets. They just totally forget that they had their hunting rifle or something like that, and then they try to bring it through with them. But that's also really great and a little bit obvious advice is don't take a loaded weapon on the plane, and you won't get into trouble.
I just had one last question, whether we put it on the recording or not, but just about, international travel and some of the tips or good sources that people can go to, because with the pandemic, every country is different with their travel mandates.
Yeah. And it changes so quickly too, that when you think you know it, you check again, and then maybe you don't know it. IATA, the International Air Transport Association, does have a really great page where they list all of the requirements right there on the page. Also, if you, some of the airline alliances, if you're a member of an airline alliance, will have all those requirements. Your travel agent also has that information. And finally, the State Department. So if you go to travel.state.gov, you can find out what the latest requirements are for traveling internationally, but don't let that deter you from going anywhere internationally. There are actually some countries that are safer than the United States. I mean, they've run out of people to vaccinate in Portugal, so that's a pretty safe place to be right now.